Since I've become a Christian, a lot of unsafe family members have been treating me very differently, especially when they call or we're having a conversation. Like, I'm telling you, my cousins, uncles, parents, siblings, like pretty much all of my family correct themselves constantly when it comes to talking, because they constantly cuss. They're swearing all the time, right? So they're just constantly correcting themselves all the time, and some of them even try to talk slower than usual to try to catch a bad word from slipping out. They'll say things like, "Man, what's up with this heat? It's flipping hot today." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's pretty flipping hot." Just trying to hold back a laugh. Because the sad truth is, I even know Christians that cuss. Yeah, it's not that great, in my opinion. I don't recommend y'all cussing, but it's true, Christians cuss. You may say, like my unsafe family, when I tell them, "Wait, Christians aren't supposed to cuss." They assume that Christians are people who already have it all together. Some of us are even challenged by the enemy or ourselves, saying things like, "Man, how can God use me? I'm a mess," right? Well, if you're wrestling with that today, just as I constantly have wrestled with that, I'd like to have you join me in this passage, and I encourage you to turn to Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 7, if you have it. Gotta be quick though. In time. I'm just going to begin reading. All right, chapter 6, verse 1 through 7. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to another and said, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory." And the foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of him who called. And the house was filled with smoke, and I said, "Woe is me, for I am lost, and I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts." Now, this passage really lifts up God and elevates him. Like, it's a scary scene to think about. And like, I've even been challenged to see this picture when I'm praying, and it really slows down my prayers. And I don't just talk to God now. But God is like really scary and very glorious in this picture. Then it talks about Isaiah, the prophet, who's just saying, like, "Woe is me, like I'm done for, I'm doomed. For I am a man of unclean lips and I'm lost," right? Okay. So, this passage also is the beginning, the backstory of how Isaiah is used as a prophet of God. Right? And this is how it starts. He starts by saying his vision that God gave him, and then later it goes on to talk about the mission that God gave him. And so we might ask ourselves, like I mentioned earlier, how can God use me when I'm a mess? God doesn't need you to be perfect and clean. He just needs you to be willing and humble. God uses even the self-proclaimed lost and unclean man. So come to God honestly and humbly, and this great God will use you for his purposes. Amen.